That's a beat. Microsoft's press conference had lots of guns, cars, and zombies, but one thing we didn't expect was a colorful platformer with style. Here to show us Super Lucky's tale are Paul and Dan. Guys, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks
You're
for
smiling,
having
I'm
us.
smiling. You have this amazing new logo with a tail in it. Everyone's
There it
happy. That's exactly it, right? Like, I think when you watch the Xbox conference, we used to think it was just about explosions and death and, you know, everything was morbid and the Lancers and all that. But then you guys come in and you're like, hey, what if a cute little animal had to collect a lot of things? So tell me about this game.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. It's about delight, and it's about colorful characters and a fun, lovable adventure that you go on. And you know, these types of experiences, they don't come along, I think, frequently enough. And we get so excited when we've been making this game, because this is the type of game that we've really wanted to play ourselves for a very long period of time.
Right.
That's right.
Which I really appreciate is the idea of sort of saying, like, this is missing. We're just going to fix this problem ourselves. We're going to take it on. I grew up playing platforming games, as I imagine you did, and most of our audience did.
Yeah.
2D platformers, 3D platformers. It seems like this is kind of a mix of both.
Yeah, so we actually, when people get to play and they get to go hands-on at the show here, you're going to see, like, you know, there's kind of been these two places that platformers have gone. Either the kind of sandbox, kind of explore whole world platformer, or more of the kind of linear, just kind of run from left to right. We've actually found this sweet spot in between, and I can't wait for people to check it out, where you kind of have, you don't have the complexity of controlling a camera, but you do have the joy of exploring these worlds with Lucky.
So what's the story here? I could make one up, but I'd be probably doing a
I'd love to
tremendous
hear what you would
disservice.
make up, actually.
Okay, well, no, you really want to hear mine?
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
I think Lucky is dead, and this is the afterlife.
Whoa,
and he's got to battle his way back to the world of the living. I see ghosts. I don't know what to tell you.
There are ghosts, yeah.
Okay, so what's the
That's
actual
excellent.
story? Because mine's terrible.
Well, so Lucky, there's some things that he doesn't know about himself and about his role in the world, but a nefarious kitty by the name of Jinx has appeared and is looking to locate the Book of the Ages, which contains stories of all these worlds that make up the game, essentially. And he wants to get access to this book for reasons that are going to become apparent when you play the game.
Yes, that's right. And along the way, with Lucky, you're going to meet this cast of characters, a lot of which you can see in the trailer itself. Both good guys, allies, and of course, the kitty litter, which is Jinx's
Nefarious
Did
kids.
you
Yes,
say the
his kids.
Did you say the
Yep.
kitty
The
litter?
kitty
He
litter,
has a
yes.
litter of kitties, and they're called the kitty litter, and those are his kids.
Are you talking about poop rocks? Is that what those things are?
No, those are actually some of the good guys.
Oh, okay,
and then
God.
you can
I see
see
at
the bad guys
at
coming
the
up.
very end of the trailer, you actually see all the other bad kitties next to him.
Yeah,
and those
actually
are his
right
kids.
there. Yeah,
The
some of
kitty
those guys
litter.
that are on
well
the side.
played. I will say your version of the story is a million times better than mine.
No, I
Yours
like
is actually thought
Should
out.
be the sequel.
You didn't come up with it in 5 seconds. Now, the way these levels sort of connect with each other, are we going to see a kind of hub world? Like, I mean, I'm a big fan of, like, you know, Super Mario 64. It's got the big castle and stuff like that. Or is this more of like you know, kind of the more traditional platforming game where you start at one end and you end up at the very end in a different way? Is it like level based or?
It's chapter based,
Oh, cool.
and so a chapter can contain a smorgasbord of different types of levels and experiences, and you need to complete a certain amount before you can unlock the next chapter. But within that chapter, you actually do have a lot of freedom of movement.
And so does the sort of like book chapter setup give you an opportunity to say, like, hey, we're going to turn the page, we're going to do something completely different?
That's,
Yes,
that's
that's
exactly
exactly
it. That's what we love about it is, you know, we call Super Lucky's Tale a playground platformer. And the idea is that, like, every one of those levels that you go into, you know, my favorite platformers are like that. They're just, every one is a new experience, a new ride to go on, basically. And doing it this way kind of lets us surprise the player every time they encounter a new level.
That's awesome. So what are some of your personal favorites so far?
Of levels?
Yeah, that you've seen. We saw a
Dan-
good variety in this trailer alone.
Yeah, so it's funny because some of them are actually still being built right now, and Dan just showed me one right before we left that I don't even know if it's going to get in the game, but it was amazing.
I
and it
will
really-
attempt to get it in, but you
got any
just see a
secrets?
glimpse
You got
in
secrets?
this.
You got
see a
secrets?
glimpse in the trailer. But the secret could be there's moments where your perspective can shift, and it's
cool.
not maybe what you expect to see, but the gameplay is still what you're used to, and it's I think the more we can do that, the more we can surprise our players, the more memorable it is. Like every encounter, every boss should feel memorable in a very strong way, and that's always about character and theme.
Yeah.
So why wasn't sort of like when you started out with the idea of like this is a fox, How far do you go down that road? Like, did you start doing Fox research?
Actually, one of the best moves in the game is Lucky can dive into the ground. He has this kind of unique burrow move. And, you know, for us, it's just one of the signature things you expect in a platformer. There's got to be some move you haven't seen before that just feels so good when you're doing it with the controller. And when people get their hands on this, it's just got this flow to it, this rhythm where you can dive into the ground. Obviously, it's Fox inspired, and you pop out and you dive back down, and it's, you know, it lets you go a little bit faster than running, and that's always the key to, I think, some of these moves is you just want to sit there and continue to do it. So that's one of the direct inspirations that we pulled from the fact that Lucky's a Fox.
There, look, we even looked at other things too. We very much felt like this was like a dolphin, almost like moving in and out of the water, right? And we wanted to mimic that feel throughout these worlds here. So we've opened up a lot of the areas to where Burrow can really, there's plenty of stuff to dig up under the ground, things to discover, but we never really want to interrupt that flow of you diving in and out of the ground.
Yeah, it almost gives you like 2 layers of gameplay. You have the stuff that you can see on the surface, and then you have this hidden kind of under the ground layer of secrets and collectibles and things that you can get by using this move.
Right.
That's awesome. And how long has this game been in development?
This is about 16 months or so now. So, you know, shipping this holiday, it'll be about 16 months.
Was it? What was the sort of the energy like today to kind of finally go like, here it is, we're doing it.
This was such a big day for us and for Lucky.
Day.
Yeah, I mean, for people to get to meet him in this kind of context at Microsoft's press briefing, and for him to debut that way, I mean, it was just, it was the greatest feeling
This is why
ever.
we just wanted to share these characters and this world with as many people as possible, and this hits to our core and why we're excited about making the game every day. It's just, wow, we really get to kind of open that up even wider and share it with more and more people.
And even, you know, between the press briefing and now, just watching on some of the initial reactions to the game, it's just wonderful. There's such a warm kind of the players who have experienced games like this before, and they have this nostalgia, and also just people looking at this and saying, now there's a game I want to buy that I can share with my family.
Yes,
well, it's like what we were saying about, you know, 3D platformers. I think there was probably an era where we thought that we would get 100 of them a year, and then now we get like 3 or 4, right? And you guys get to be number 4 or 1, whatever it is. So we first saw this character on Oculus. And now, like, how did you go from like working with a system like that to going like, we're working with the Xbox One, and you know, we're getting you out of VR and we're just on your TV?
Surprisingly, there's been a lot of kind of commonality because, you know, that was a cutting edge platform, and Xbox One X now is like the most cutting edge platform. So when you see the game running at 4K 60 hertz, it's not like any platform you've ever seen before, and it actually really benefits the game because controlling Lucky is smooth, and it's, you know, it's kind of a precision thing like platformers
It's addictive.
are.
I mean, you just only want to then have your platformers feel like that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of amazing that you guys are making this adorable Fox game on like some of the most powerful
I know,
hardware
it's
in the
so
world.
great.
So have you guys been working with the Xbox One X? That's finally just rolling off our tongues for the first time.
Yeah, I only still really know it as Project Scorpio.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we all thought it was going to be called today, right? But you know, Microsoft keeps us on our toes. So what's it like developing for that thing?
It's phenomenal.
It
I
really
mean,
is.
you know, just being able to get those dev kits and kind of just deploy the game for the first time and watch it run at 4K and 60 hertz. I mean, you know, Microsoft, there's a lot of hype around the power of this console, but from our standpoint as developers, it's absolutely warranted. I mean, it's pretty hard actually to pull off just 4K 60 hertz of anything, just like some boxes bouncing around at that. It's a lot of bandwidth, right?
I think that's the sort of great divide between game developers and, you know, consumers like me and people that, you know, journalists. We're just like, make it perfect.
Yes.
Exactly.
You guys are like, that's hard.
It's hard.
Well, I'm like, well, I don't care. Make it perfect.
It's the opportunity, I think,
Yeah.
and it's peace of mind because when we see it look good there, we know it looks good for everybody, and that is the key. It really is. It's helpful for us to develop in that way.
And I think when people look at the Xbox One X and the hardware that it's able and the software it's able to, you know, to work with, you don't think about a game like this. But then there are benefits from that, right? Like, what is something that is sort of immediately?
The thing I love the most about it is that, I mean, for me growing up as a kid, probably for you, one of my favorite things was a new hardware coming out, a new console coming out, and I just couldn't wait for that mascot platformer that would come with it, right? And that doesn't happen as often anymore. But we get to do that now with this console.
Yeah, you open up the box. There's that. It smells wonderful,
Yes.
and there's a colorful animal jumping around.
Exactly, it's what you
Or a
expect.
man with a red hat and a mustache. What kind of platforming games did you guys grow up with? Speaking of which,
Of course, all the
of
ones.
them.
Yes, we're the
classics.
biggest fans of, you know, whether it's Mario or Sonic or
Banjo-Kazooie.
even some of the Yeah, there's
It's a good list.
How
It
about
is.
Rocket Robot on Wheels? You remember that
Yeah,
one? That was
yeah,
a wonderful game.
I mean, we saw Bubsy come back the other day. So
I know, I
now,
saw that
now
too.
there's like orange feline battles happening in the platforming. This is a weird year. It's great.
It's a good year.
Thank you guys so much for coming by. I'm
thanks for
super
having
excited
us.
for your game, and congrats on the big debut today.
Thanks
Thank you
a
so
lot.
much.